Oh, whoops. Okay, so we need to mute this and turn this way down. There we go. That shouldn't be too bad. Let me bring up. Perfect. Awesome. Where is gaming? There we go. Here's the question here. Oh, whoops. That looks horrible to you guys. I'm working on it. Hold on. There we go. That should be good. So my desktop audio should be coming out here. See something here, so you guys. Oh, whoa, no, we don't want to do that. One thing I'm curious about, I run into a weird issue where my second display is not. Let me do this. Let's match them. I just have an awkward feeling this might have something to do with it. Nope, I'm wrong. So, actually running to a rather strange issue that is my second display. Freezes, and I don't know why. I get like video lag on the second monitor. See what other people are saying. You know what? Do I have Chrome on here? I don't have Chrome yet. I need to download Chrome. I'm using Microsoft Edge, which may not be play very nice, to say the least. So we're going to run this real quick. So I'm using X264 encoding, so you can see my GPU is actually running rather warm. I have two monitors. I have a 4K display and a 1080p display. You guys are actually seeing the 4K, but you can see I'm running in the upper 60s with the AIO, not overclocked. I'm getting about a 3.9 gigahertz all core right now, so probably a fair bit of that has to do with. I mean, I have one CPU pretty much loaded up. The rest are... So this is World of Warcraft right here, obviously. The rest of them are pretty low. But let me get into YouTube here. Actually, let me sign into my account. So for the one person watching, which is probably Crackling Ice, I have a lot of videos coming up. And here, import. This is annoying. Sign to Chrome. Killing me. All my bookmarks back. Got it. Why do we not have bookmarks from Chrome? No, not. Sync everything. Yes. There we go. Now we're there. Thank you. Let me. So the issue I'm running into, at least on Edge, and I think they say there's a fix with Chrome, where if you're not on your primary display, it will lag, like any kind of video out, like watching a video or whatever. So I definitely want to get that fixed before I move any further. Get MSI Afterburner off your screen there. Get my channel. Oh, I know it's Creator Studio. So I can see the live stream here. Other features, live streaming. Sometime today. I have a fair bit I still have to do on this. It's actually, that's right, I'm only running 30 FPS in, or being displayed out for you guys, so OBS isn't showing it that well. So, should be fine. Of course, I seem to actually start the issue. Okay, advanced settings in Google Chrome, then turn off hardware acceleration. Yeah, we should probably do that. Let's go to advanced settings. So I'll show you. Here, I'll actually show you guys the issue. So let me actually open up Chrome here. So okay, so I'll move along here. Buttery smooth. And then yeah, see, it's kind of all jittery, so. But they said there's a fix for this, so use hardware acceleration. Unavailable. No. Okay. And let me see. Ooh. Yeah. I was afraid of that.
What's wrong?
Internet's not keeping up.
Why?
Probably because you're on. Can you get off Xbox Live?
See? I'm not using any live functions.
Yeah, this is why we need faster. Here, let me close a couple things here. Close that.
Yeah, I'm using
Close
the live
you.
functions.
Yes. And my settings are quite low. I'm using. I'm outputting 720p 30 frames. I literally can't do any better.
I'm offline.
That's fine. No, I actually don't think that is a problem. And I'm gonna lower the bit rate.
What's the check your health?
Why?
Not that health, your stream health.
Yeah. It's bad. That's why.
Huh?
It's bad. That's why it says it's red.
Where you sit it at?
I'll show you in a second. See?
Oh. So can I get back online?
No. Let's move. Okay. I'm gonna cut the stream first. Okay, it looks to be better. I just don't know if it looks like shit on your guys' end or not. Right now, just crackling, but I just rebooted the stream. It's back up to healthy. Yeah, it might. Quality. curious if the video or audio quality dropped though. No, I don't think it is, but let's find out. Let's see here. Waiting for the stream to catch up. Stream's about 10-15 seconds behind.
Huh?
I'm talking to my people.
Oh.
Hush.
You're one person?
2. No, it seems to be better on the line. Yeah, it's doing between like 20 and 30.
23rd can't come fast enough.
Huh?
23rd can't come fast enough.
Oh, yeah. I'm recording 720p, so I'm hoping, and I'm also outputting 720p as well. So I'm hoping
time is money, friend.
Actually, where's my phone? There it is. I can always bring up my phone. PC Budget Solutions. Live. Let's see how bad it is.
What do you ask of the Xander lad?
Is it the background sound? Wait. Yeah. So I can actually adjust that in real time. Testing. Actually, what I can do is I can mute the desktop audio. No, it's not outputting in good FPS. It's pretty bad.
Excuse you?
Yeah, it's pretty bad. Well,
Mine said I had a title change or a sign-in change.
well, unfortunately, I'll have to cut the stream because the output is so bad. But yeah, guys, so I'm gonna have to. I can see the output's really bad on my end. I'm putting out about 3 megabits per second, and it's absolutely saturating our bandwidth. So I'm going to wait till the 23rd to stream again, most likely, at least World of Warcraft. But at least you can see in open world, I'm bouncing between 45 and 60 FPS at 4K on a Ryzen 7 2700X. Nothing's overclocked. In fact, the memory actually automatically went to 2666 as soon as I installed it, and then I did the second level profile. So definitely good stuff. I'll give you guys a quick sneak peek here. So let me, oh no, it's bad again. It's back to red. Let me see if these changes fix it or not. Output. I'm curious. So let's go 1500. Let's reduce This should reduce the bit rate back down to what it was, maybe. Yeah, it just reduced the bit rate down about 1 megabit per second. So I'm going to give it about a minute or two and see if the your audio stream computers. Okay, let me mess with the audio bit rate because it's yelling at me here. 128. Let's see what that does. Increase the audio bit rate a bit. It didn't seem to make any negative adjustment. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut the stream for a second and bring it back again. Okay, it's back live again. I'm going to give it about a minute, and then I'm going to check it on my phone to see if it continues to be in the green. I'm not so much worried about the quality as just you guys being able to view it. That's pretty much my concern. Unfortunately, it's just so far behind. It's hard for me to tell here. I'm going to freeze my live stream. I have it on my phone. It looks to be pretty smooth, but I'm stationary right now. So, and it's about 10 seconds behind, so. It honestly looks to be fine, but I'm going to need you guys to stay up on this for me. Yeah. Occasional couple frame drops here or there, but I'm looking on my phone, and it's looking good. Yeah, combat doesn't seem super fluid, but it's way better than what it was. Nope, it dropped again. It's saying bad video output. I don't know how much lower I can go on the physical bit rate here. We'll go a little bit lower. Let's see if that helps.
What's the bit rate doing?
The problem is it's saturating our upload bandwidth. Yeah, I can see what it's doing. See, babe?
Oh, wow.
Yeah. As soon as I do something...
Heavy graphic.
Yeah. It seems to be pushing the bit rate up really high. I'm going to try one more thing. Here, I'm going to stop the stream. I'm going to do one more. Okay. So I'm outputting in 480p now. Not something I want to do, but I really want to give you guys a somewhat accurate representation of what's going on. It looks to be okay on my end. I am watching stream from my phone. I'm going to stop here soon once I verify that it seems to be okay. I'll stop streaming on my phone, so I'm going to end up relying on you guys to let me know. Yeah. So I will bring up my stream here. Any better. Okay. I'm going to cut the stream on my phone because any bandwidth I don't want to use up until I get gigabit in 2 weeks. So, a couple things. Why do I have to... What am I supposed to do here? I'm confused. Command hatchlings. I'm actually legitimately... Oh. That's what I need to do. Oops. Yeah, I know. Fine, I'll kill you. So, I have one video going up every 2 days until the end of the month. I have probably another 2 videos to film tomorrow, which should take us into November. Now, nothing necessarily exciting. It's a couple overviews of some stuff I'm using. Build guide, and then I ran into issues. Involving a bad power supply. And needless to say, the RGB cooler that I was using, the stock one, I honestly think what should have happened was AMD should have taken the Intel route. And, okay, plus. Okay. It's telling me the resolution is not optimal now. Like, what else do you guys want me to do? Seriously. But anyway. So, as much as I give Intel crap, one of the things I think they did right was basically make it so, okay, you have an overclockable CPU that's going to push 120, 150 watts. Don't even include a stock cooler. The problem with AMD stock cooler is even in a decent system, it is just not sufficient. Unfortunately, it's not good enough to keep up. So if you watch my video, you can see why. A simple $40 Master Liquid Light 120. And mind you, the ambient temperature in the room was quite cold that day. So right now, I am running... I capped out around 78. I did one run of Cinebench. And to give you an idea, it's probably... I don't know. I would say 70 or 27, 20... I'd say around 27 degrees in here right now, Celsius. When I was doing tests, I was around like probably 16. It was significantly cold. It was very cold out that day. We weren't, to give you an idea, it was around 63 degrees in the house, Fahrenheit, for those of you who don't use Celsius. And the stock cooler was hitting 70 degrees, or almost 80 degrees in the first run of Cinebench, just like that. And when I put the Master Liquid White 120, I did a couple runs, let it run, came back, did a couple more runs, and I wasn't hitting above 70. And yes, I'm hitting above 70 now, but it's also significantly warmer than what it was. So it just, it wasn't holding up. And the problem is my Cinebench score literally went up over 100 on multi-threaded. It only went up by like 7 or 8 on single core. But that's still, I mean, it was still like, you figure, so let's do some math. So if I did like 165, went up to like 173, that's 5%, 4 or 5%. That's a decent amount increase to be relevant, right? So that's definitely something to note. Is I didn't do even any kind of overclocking, and I wasn't hitting XFR2 into like the upper threes. I was hitting like 3.6 on all core instead of like right now. Just to show you, I'm hitting around 3.9, 3.9.5 on all cores. No adjustments to anything. I do need to down the voltage. I'm having issues with it staying stable. What I'm going to try to do is, I think this board allows for an offset of voltage, so that's actually what I'm going to do. Is I'm going to try offsetting the voltage down, maybe offset by 0.05, I think is what I want to try, just to see if that helps. Because if you look at this here, not today, so this isn't bad, so it's getting better, but I was having boosts in the 1.45 volts. I did do a BIOS update the other day to try to see if I can remedy that, and yeah, so it seems to be working out a little bit. But as I mentioned on the WoW forums, and this is a conversation I have with a lot of the people on there, and I don't want to discredit anybody, because people have done a lot of good work over there, and you know, they have some really nice systems, and they've done some things I haven't done. I'll be the first one to admit. But the reality of it is that I think that because there's some people out there that don't really know what they're talking about, and there's a particular person on the forum named you who he does, but he just likes to piss people off a lot. And you know, he's Ryzen this, Ryzen that, Ryzen's great, don't go Intel, and that's not true. I find it very difficult to recommend Intel at most price points. There's plenty of use cases that I do recommend Intel. As a general consensus, for most of the customers that I deal with, for most of the gamers that I see, I don't see the value in Intel most of the time. Not always. It's just what I see, right? So I'll give you a perfect example. My wife, she has a 100 hertz 1440p monitor. It's an ultra-wide 3440 by 1440. She has a Ryzen 7 1700. To be honest, not the right processor for her. That was back in the 7700 era days, where the 7700 wasn't vastly superior than Ryzen single-thread performance. It was just a little bit better. And in today's world, it's not good enough. So one of the things we're going to do is probably get her to an i7 9700, and we're going to switch over to an AMD card. The reason why is her monitor's FreeSync, so that'll definitely help her out a lot. She has a 1080, so we're going to move her over to probably a Vega 64 like mine. I'll probably get a water-cooled edition or something like that to utilize it properly. So that'll be a change. She does high refresh rate gaming. She also pushes the high resolution. So Intel is a very, very good option for her. Anybody that is running 1080p, 144 hertz, absolutely 100%. Probably wouldn't even consider offering a Ryzen chip or recommending a Ryzen chip. Not to say it's a bad buy, but in most cases, you're looking at 8700K, 8600K in a minimum, because you know, if you're going to be pushing, you know, those really high frames, you're definitely going to want as much single thread performance as possible. Multi-thread performance is not important. And you know, having 6 cores, 12 threads, or just 6 cores, 6 threads is going to be, there's no game that I can foresee the Ryzen 7 you know, 2700 outperforming Intel in those scenarios. Even like Ghost Recon Wildlands, even though it's very, well, that might be an exception, as is like WoW, for example, WoW and StarCraft, where the single thread performance makes a big difference, right? So but the consensus that I have, and this has kind of been my point when I talk to people, is you need to look at the bigger picture, which is what do you need and what's your budget. The idea that budget or price performance is irrelevant or doesn't matter is ludicrous. Look, if you don't have a budget, buy the most expensive, baddest ass processor you can. If you don't have a budget, go buy yourself a Ferrari. It's going to be better than a Corvette in most scenarios. Maybe not straight line, but just an overall better car. I would actually disagree. I think getting a 6th gen Corvette and putting a supercharger on it and spending 20 grand suspension will make it run circles around a Ferrari, but good point. You know, you got to look at where your budget is, and oftentimes I deal with people that spending $600 on a processor and board is not in their budget, but a Ryzen 7 2700X and a B450 board like mine was $400, $200 savings. $200 gets you from a 1060 to a 1080 or a RX 580 to a Vega 64. That is worth making that change. Your budget's over $2 grand, different story. I don't really deal a lot with people with budgets that high. I don't. You know, so that's kind of where I come from with why I recommend. In fact, let's why not? I actually had this video and then I decided to delete it because I never got finished with it. This is pretty cool. So this is my website. Nothing impressive by any stretch, but this is my guide, right? So this is the CPU side. So I kind of list it in price points, and I kind of give verdict, right? So most of the verdict is there's no clear winner. Some places there is. At the lowest tier, it depends. The Ryzen chip is better in my opinion because if you get typo there, if you get a B450 board, you can upgrade and you can overclock. Like I have a B450 board on my Ryzen. It was $100, but it was a mid-range B450 board. You spend $60, $70, it can handle a Ryzen 7. Maybe not a ton of overclock, but it'll handle it fine. Whereas if you get a G450, you're most likely getting an H310 board, maybe a B360 Max, and if you get a 8700K or 9700K, it's just wasted, right? So you just want to consider what your goal is. Do you want to upgrade? Do you want the best system now? Are you going to save up for a graphics card? So is the better dedicated GPU the better option? So you can go either way. I would probably go the AMD chip because of the expansion, but if you want the most performance now, the G5400 is a better chip. There's no arguing that. At this level, there's actually really no competition. The i3, so here's the thing. If you have two chips, the exact same, an AMD and an Intel chip, latest generations, maybe not 9000, but 8000 series versus Ryzen 2, almost same exact single thread performance clock for clock. Like it's like 2% higher. So considering that you can get this chip or 1300X to 3839, it's just going to be better than 8300. I mean, there's no doubt about it. The integrated graphics in the 2200G is better. I just don't think this chip is worth buying. I think this is the way to go, that chip. Mid-range, there's really not an option here. So the i5-8400 is a trash chip. It is not as powerful as... So here, let's actually take a look. So i5-8400 Cinebench. We'll take a look. Okay. This is my point. So, single core 168, multi-core 869. Okay. Ryzen 5 2600 Cinebench. The reason why I use Cinebench is because not a lot of good single-threaded tests out there really tell the whole story. So I want right here. Okay, so at stock, okay, 163 to 168. So yeah, the 8400 does win out. Now, Precision Boost will actually put this chip close to max, but when you get this thing to 4.2, you're at 180 and 1482. So that is kind of my point, is they're pretty much really close at stock. And when you overclock, it's no contest. No contest at all. I mean, it beats it by 15 on single-threaded, which is like 8 or 9%, and multi-threaded, it's nearly double. So that is my point, right? So just not worth buying this chip at all. I cannot find any reason to recommend it. It's not going to win in single core. It gets destroyed in multi-threaded. Bad purchase. This chip isn't bad, the 2400G. It's priced badly when you're looking for pure performance, but it definitely has its place. Like I did a $500 build with using the Vega graphics, and it was somewhat impressive. I'm probably getting my ass kicked right now. Interesting note. We'll actually touch back on that one. But it definitely has its place. This chip is not useless by any stretch, so there are specific scenarios where this chip makes sense. To me, where it makes sense is if you're looking to get a lot of single-threaded performance out of a less than $200 chip. You get this in the mid to upper fours, you're 200 plus, you're going to play WoW better than any Ryzen chip out there. You pair it with an RX 580 or a GTX 1060 1080p, you pretty much can't get any better WoW performance than that. And that's kind of where it comes in at. So it has its niche. This is where the debate comes in at. I have a lot of trouble recommending an 8600K over a 2700 with the exception of okay, yeah, sorry about that, bandwidth issues. And I'm gonna fix that, by the way, Ivan. We're getting gigabit in about a week and a half, so actually a week from tomorrow. So we will be fixing that. Upload's going up to 35 from 10, so that should help. This is where I think a lot of people that are really hardcore Intel fans or only play WoW and StarCraft 2 don't understand where I'm coming from. The 8600K is a 6-core CPU. That's it. The Ryzen 7 2700 is 8 cores, 16 threads. There's absolutely no doubt that this chip should be able to hit 4.8 to 5 gigahertz with some decent amount of cooling. And that in games like WoW and StarCraft 2 or high refresh rate, this is the chip to get. Either this or an 8700K. No doubt. The problem is that I look at the big picture. So you guys actually can't see what I'm doing. But, in fact, actually, let me turn on my webcam real quick. I'm going to show you guys what I'm doing. Video. Actually, I don't think I have drivers for it, so it may not work. See, 922. Oh, no, it works. Okay. Hey, you can see the back of my wife's head. Hi, wife. So, let me show you guys what I'm doing here. Oh, God, this is caught. Oh, God, this is caught. That's not good. So, I have one monitor, two monitors. Obviously, I'm streaming. I have MSI Afterburner, HW monitor. I have a bunch of Chrome tabs open. I have WoW running in the background and OBS. I'm going to turn this off because I don't really think you guys need to see me, but at least not today. But realistically, nobody plays their games with nothing else open. That doesn't happen. Especially people that run more than one monitor. They run Discord, they have Chrome open, they might have a video running, might have a stream running. All that takes resource. Not a lot, but it adds up. And what I look at is if you're not playing games that are heavily single-threaded, if you're not, where was I going with that? So if you're not playing games that are heavily single-threaded, if you're not playing above 60 hertz, or we'll say 75 hertz, I think is fair. If you're playing, so if you're not doing those, but you're playing a higher resolution, and you are doing things more than just playing a game like myself and most other people, and you are streaming, you do video edit, I don't see the value. You're going to get more than twice the raw performance in a Ryzen 7 2700, especially with XFR enabled, right? So, of course, I don't know if it's actually enabled on those, but an all-core overclock like 3.9 or 4.0, you just get so much raw throughput, right? So there are places where the 8600K is worth it. Single-threaded, wow. StarCraft 2, high refresh rate, racing simulators. A lot of different things require a lot of frame rate, 100%. But I don't see that a lot. That's kind of my point, is I don't see that a lot. So, if that's what your thing is, go to 8600K and overclock it. If you're more of a multi-use, not going high frame rate, Ryzen, I think, is the way to go. I really do, and that's why I recommend that. However, now that we hit here, it can really go either way. The 8700, if you get an aftermarket cooler, will boost over 4 gigahertz. You'll get really good single-threaded, good multi-core. So, 2700X versus 8700, they trade blows, right? I think single-thread performance are close. Multi-thread performance are also close. Ryzen wins out multi-threaded. Intel wins out single-threaded. And then the 8700K is just the king. It does everything better. It may not edge out multi-threaded quite, but it's so close it doesn't matter. And it does obviously walk away with single-threaded. But it's also $400 versus I paid $300 for mine. So, you know, if you don't have $100 in your budget, well, in my case, it would have been about $150 in the budget because I would have had to get a better board. You know, I would have had to downgrade something because I only spent about $1,700, including 2 monitors and everything else, right? So that's the guide. Feel free to read it. That I have a section for everything. I have example builds. I always try to keep up on it. It is on the WoW forums, but I don't keep up on it that much. You know, and obviously there's a fair bit of Intel builds in actually. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, there's 5 Intel builds I think out of 10 systems. So I think some people just misunderstand the bias a little bit. Yeah, so actually let me, because I don't want to, you know, you guys can see that though. Hey, the stream health is so. Shocker. Let me close out some tabs here. That might help. I'm thinking that might be part of it. So let me address a couple things. So say for 7nm Ryzen, 100% agree. I went from a 600X to a 2700X. Not something I recommend. Reason why I did it is because I want to get back to the top with just the best processor that works for me. So 6800K, I think you had mentioned to me that you get 178 single threaded, 1200 multi-threaded, 1 thread. So that's actually pretty good, considering 6800K is not known for single thread performance. When you compare it to a 2700 or 2600X, it actually beats it. Probably with Intel. Yeah, so that's kind of some of the other things you run into with Intel, right? Is they're actually keeping the same board. You can go 390, but you don't have to, so that's a plus. But they don't like to stick to the same board, so you usually have to trade a whole platform, and you know that's not fun. And then as for upgrading your 1600, yeah, like I said, I definitely wouldn't do it. I think Ryzen 7 is going to bring a lot to the table. The biggest problem that Ryzen runs into today is clock speed. If Ryzen could match Intel in clock speed, the debate wouldn't be there at this point. They're 2% behind an IPC single thread performance clock for clock. So, you know, case in point, if I'm hitting 4.3, so here, I'll give you a perfect example. My single thread performance is 173. So let's do this. So 4.3 minus 5.2. Okay, so 0.9. 0.9 divided by 5.2. 17%. Okay, so oh wait, no, mine didn't hit that. My single thread performance only went to, I haven't actually rerun it yet. So I actually don't know what it runs. But supposedly, well here, we'll do this. Ryzen 7 2700X Cinebench. We're going to do some simple math, everybody. And my wife knows how I love math. Right, babe? Okay, so 4.4. And that's 183. Now, I want to say 220 is, or 225 is what you get at 5.2. So 4.4 divided by 5.2. So 84. Okay, well, 0.8 divided by 5.2. Okay, so 15 point. We're going to 15.4 to round up. So 183 times 211. Now 211 minus 225 times -1 equals that. No. So 13.8 divided by 6%, and is roughly one coming out. So maybe my estimations are wrong, but at a 6% performance difference in single threaded, I don't think anybody would be arguing that just spend more money and get a better chip. I don't see the reasoning behind that ideology. I don't. You know, if you have the extra money, of course, get the best chip you can. You start losing a ton of value, but I mean, if your budget's $3-4 grand, why not, right? But that's usually not the case. If you're going to spend, you know, you're going to i9 9900K, you know, you're going to spend $600 on that. Me, I would have to give something up, and it'd probably be graphics card. As for never go cheap on the motherboard, that is correct, but not quite. I'll clarify though what I mean by that. So, oh whoa, I do not have a lot of room here. What am I supposed to do here? I'm supposed to kill these. So, there's cheap, and then there's getting the right board. So, you know, for Intel, unfortunately, you have to spend some money to get a decent board. That's just, I don't think there's even an option not to. For AMD, you can spend about $100, and that's about all you have to spend. You really don't need to go any more. That's perfectly fine. And that's kind of the whole point, is you don't need to go and spend a ton of money. You just have to do the research. You have to find what board has the right features you want, what board's going to have the right amount of VRM cooling and you know, have enough power phases. I didn't, with my research with how AMD worked, I didn't really have an expectation of doing overclocking on this board, because if you don't get an all-core frequency of 4.3, you're giving up a lot on the table. And XFR works, in my opinion, from what I've seen and experienced, as well as GPU boost. And you guys have kind of seen it in real time, where I'm hitting 3.8 to 3.9, but my cooling, even with a 120 AO, is not sufficient. I honestly think, to answer your question, Ivan, it will. I don't know enough to say for sure. I don't know, you know, CPU architecture as well as I would like. But I think that with AMD, where AMD's at, they're either going to get a really nice bump in single-threaded performance, or the die shrink is going to allow them to hit much higher speeds. And that, I think that AMD will close the gap to a point where people are not going to blindly recommend Intel anymore. Where there's going to be almost no price point that's going to say, hey, go Intel. I think they're going to be close enough where I hope that they pass them in single-threaded performance, personally. I want Intel to step their game up, right? You know, they got rid of hyper-threading, so they have an 8-core CPU of $400 without hyper-threading. Like that to me is just rebadging a 20 or an 8700K and just enabling 2 more cores on it, and then disabling hyper-threading. That's essentially how I feel is what they did. And I feel like it's still 14 nanometers, so it's pretty much the same chip. I just think they bend it differently. and shit like that pisses me off, because it almost feels like they feel cocky and they don't need to innovate, and that they have a better product. And we're actually seeing Ryzen sales do really well in comparison. Some of it has to do with Intel shortage, I get that, but as I said, you know, outside of the WoW forums, a lot of people recommend Ryzen over Intel for most price points. It gives you a lot more bang for your buck. And we're starting to see that more and more and more. Oh, my stream's good. It's just yelling at me for being 480p. And that was kind of my point Not this year. I think AMD has said they're going to go server first, and then Q1 next year is when we can expect it. Oh, I have too much stuff. Yeah, and one of the things is I'm not sure if you know this, but AMD is crushing Intel in the server market right now. A lot of it has to do with, obviously, supply, but it's not even so much that. A lot of it comes down to that the product is fine for server applications. Better in some areas, not as good in others. And it's available, and it's priced right. And that's what... You know, even the professional world, that's really all that matters is, will it do the job and is it priced right? And that's kind of like, you know, the whole conversation when I have conversations with CAG and you know, Shoddy and some of those other guys is I think a lot of people underestimate that it's not just us. It's in the business world. I mean, I work for a cybersecurity company, and we have data servers with tons of SSDs and really high-end RAID arrays and redundancy build all the way through when we're running, you know, large servers with hundreds of gigabytes of RAM and terabytes upon terabytes of you know, solid state. I think we have for mass storage, we're still using regular chips, or regular hard drives rather. But I don't know what kind of chips we're running, but I do know that for our workload, we could run either chipset and be fine. So if we ever need to overhaul our infrastructure here in the States, I can imagine going either way. You know, it's what's available and what gets the job done at the right price. And no offense, that's not Intel right now. They're not available. And in most cases, they're not priced right. There's not a lot of the new 9 series, and the ones that are selling, they're selling, like what Crackling said, well above MSRP. What are you doing? Not allowed, sorry. Chill out, woman.
You chill out, woman.
I'm streaming. I don't know.
Where's our son? Oh, I found our son.
Where's he at?
It's cooler.
Your scaling's not right on your monitor, babe.
Huh?
Your scaling's off on your monitor.
Why?
It's cut off on the right-hand side. I don't know how. It's Xbox trash.
Oh, hush.
Well, I guess I should call it X trash, huh? Well, to be honest, my ex is pretty trashy, so apparently she has a couple drug charges against her after we broke up. You know, and it really kind of stings because I've spoken to a couple of my colleagues that are also in the hardware field that's built a lot of computers, and I really try to understand where some people come at, you know, with recommendations, and you know, they take the fact that I might mention that, yeah, I prefer AMD right now. I'm not going to argue that. I think that they're making a better product. Personally, that's my opinion. You know, yeah, I'm a little bit biased because I like what they're doing better. I think they're delivering a better product at a better price, and they're more interested in innovation and pushing technology forward because they had so many years of just abysmal shit. I mean, let's be honest. For a long time, they sucked. But just because I prefer it or have a bias towards it doesn't mean that what I say is not true. Um, and not to downplay some of those people on the WoW forums, but I don't think if you take everybody that frequents there and combines all of their amounts of building, I don't think you can combine them and say they've built more computers than me. That's just a fact. 670 over 7 years is how many I've worked with. Built, worked with, all that stuff. So I mean, it's like tear apart, put back together, or custom build, or rebuild, or whatever. And that doesn't automatically qualify me to be better, but that is something to say, right? I'm very close to finishing my master's in IT. I work in cybersecurity. I'm pretty well vested into this, and I continue my education and knowledge base with having these conversations with other people in the industry. A lot of people in my field started off in hardware. A lot of like MSPs, managed service providers, people work for these small IT companies. Their passion's hardware. It's just that there's no money to be making hardware from a company standpoint. So branching out to SaaS solutions and managed services and networking and endpoint security is where they have to go to make money. But a lot of them came from a hardware background like myself, and they still have a passion for it. So I get to converse with a lot of these people that have done more exotic things and more intricate things, and I've seen a lot more than I have. The reality is that people that disagree with me, unfortunately, don't have that experience. They're much more limited in most cases. I'm gonna do a dungeon. I'm bored. Although I really should empty out my bags here. It's amazing how much some of this stuff sells for. I'll sell that. Keep that for now. Get rid of that. Get rid of that. Keep that for now. What do I have? Just get rid of that. Just because it will bother me, I'm going to go ahead and hearth and retransmog. But here, I'll give you guys a quick sneak peek of what's going on here. Although I probably need to change my... So, coming up tomorrow, we have unboxing Ryzen 7, my 4K FreeSync IPS display, my motherboard, my Vega graphics card, my case, the build log, finding out it wasn't good enough, and my power supply died. So that's what's coming up. That's going to be spaced every 2 days for the next 15 or so. Now I have 2 more videos to do for stuff that's actually coming tomorrow. So definitely stay tuned for anybody that finds my content interesting. I would like to get up to 1,000 subs so I can actually start getting paid a little bit. Funding everything out of pocket is still what I have to do, which is fine, but I would like a little bit of self-sustaining profits where I can use some proceeds to do more projects. And I want to do, if I can get this computer fixed, I'm going to do a donation project this year as well. So that's something I'd like to do every year if possible. There we go. Oh, it's 11:30. Yuck. I'll do a dungeon, then get off. GPU's been pretty stable, 66, 67 degrees. Memory's been good except for a really weird spike. That must have been a bad reading. Yeah, same thing happened here. Yeah, WoW at 4K. Definitely nothing to shake a stick at. I mean, I just have everything up. I don't really... I just did slider up to 10, anti-aliasing at FXAA, VSync disabled because I have FreeSync enabled, so... I probably will tweak some of these settings a little bit when I do some testing. The only test I can do is flight path testing. I can't do rating testing. It doesn't really... So here's the problem. I had mentioned this to somebody before, and there is an issue with it. The same 3 minutes within the same boss, we'll say 5 minutes, it's a little easier to deal with, can really vary on frame rate. I'll give you a perfect example. Boss fight's 3 minutes. Your DPS sucks, you hit a face twice, it's really hard on the frame rate. Your frame rates could drop 10. Just 2 exact same runs. I would have to invest so much time and hope that I can find an easy to get to boss to where it's very predictable and I can run fraps. Because here's what I want to do. I want to buy a chip from each price point, which is going to cost me a lot of money. It's probably going to cost $1,500. And I want to test them. And I want to test them at 3 resolutions. 1080, 1440, 4K. No FreeSync, all that turned off. So we're looking at, if I'm doing 8 processors at 4 resolutions, that's 24 reports, times the minimum of 3 runs each, we're looking at 72. That's a lot of tests to run. I would like to, because I think that it'll really drive home my point, especially when you look at stuff like minimum frame rates. When things are properly cold, I think the current results with the current generation chips, I don't consider 9000 series current yet, I would go to say that you would expect a gap of 20% and get a gap of 8 to 10. In worst case scenario.
I know.
What?
I know. You didn't even read that book.
What?
I'm tired.
Is he tired?
Yeah.
Pupper's tired. Too bad I don't have a webcam, Mom. I could,
You do have a webcam.
I said webcam is... I said too bad webcam is not on.
Why is it not on?
Because I don't have it on. I don't want to get flagged for having an ugly wife. Got you back there.
For what?
I don't know. I just spelled all over myself.
That's what you get.
I know, right? Wants to sell a Sulfron hammer. There we go.
Oh, what were you saying about my screen? You know why?
Why?
Because it's a slide.
Oh. Did not know. Okay, you're good then.
I want to see something. I don't know what overdrive is.
Neither do I. So this is my point. I'm looking out in the view. View distance all the way up. A lot of stuff going in the background. 4K 50 FPS. I mean...
Oh.
There's just not a lot really to discuss. Hey, babe, you're fine. I didn't realize there was a slide.
I know, but I want...
Oh, a big T-Rex. Like we haven't had a boss like that before. We're not pulling him or what? Sorry, I'm getting congested again, guys. Oh, since I don't have my thing on, I can take my pants off now.
Oh boy, here we go.
Come on, who games with pants on?
Me!
No, you don't. Only when I'm live streaming.
I think I broke it. It looks worse.
Yes, you did.
Sorry. Oh. Color. Oh. No.
I should probably heal myself, huh? Really? That's annoying. Guess my DPS was. Oh, 1800, not bad. Now, interestingly enough, I'm curious if I don't cap it. The reason why I cap is I do run into some frame or some tearing sometimes. But even FreeSync kicks in anyway most of the time. If they can keep it down, it will. But if it wants to exceed it a bit, it'll go back up. Now what happens if I graphics 1080p? Yeah, the FreeSync's still kicking in. Now I'm curious. No, GPU on the load's still up. Oh, resolution was still 4K. That's why it's weird how that works.
I just got a breakaway goal.
Did you now? Oh, stupid me. Nice. I forgot that. Put my beacon out. I like DPSing as a healer. I feel like Paladin should actually be the DPS healers instead of priests. I don't know though, man. With all the priests touching little kids in our area, yeah, it may not be a good idea. For those of you who don't know, there's a giant scandal in Pennsylvania with over 300 priests found guilty of sexual molestation of children. Yeah, it's not fun. I hate having this thing called a job. You have to go to it and do things to make money, and being a kid was simpler. We didn't have bills to pay and a wife to take care of. Right, wife?
Yes.
She's ignoring me.
No. Should I put the FreeSync 2 on?
I'm not sure if that supports it or not.
Sure, we'll go with it.
It does go for it. I was feeling I'm doing this wrong.
Whoa. Hey, babe.
What?
It doesn't look right.
Yeah, you probably shouldn't do that.
I don't see the difference.
I don't think it's going to matter for a console, to be honest.
No, it's too light.
Then fix it.
Okay.
Oh, hey, we have a third person. All the interesting discussion kind of finished, though. I'm not just doing dungeons. Oh, there's a fourth person on. Sorry, I'm outputting in such a low resolution. My bandwidth is really bad. But I am running, for anybody who cares, 4K, level 10 settings, anti-aliasing at FXA. But if anybody has any questions, concerns, well, now only one more person than before, feel free to ask. I'm here.
Yeah, why does this look like such crap?
Because you're playing on a fucking console. So you're playing on a console. Now I just got G-rated, or PG rated. Thanks.
Ah, you just got age restricted.
Well, that's your fault. You're the one who made me say it.
I didn't make you say anything.
Yes, you did. Guys, never get married. It's not worth it. Trust me, it's not worth it. Especially if you get married to a console peasant.
Look, they don't have the game on PC.
Needless to say, I built her a $4,000 gaming computer.
Yeah, that actually looks better.
I built her a $4,000 at the time gaming computer, and she mostly used it to play solitaire.
I don't play solitaire.
It's a figure of speech. What she doesn't know is I'm donating her computer for Christmas. Was that necessary?
Yes.
Well, if you don't use your computer, then I'm donating the mofo.
And put NHL 19 on a computer and I'll play it.
No. I aggroed. I'm getting destroyed right now. Yeah, I buy her all sorts of things that she never uses again.
Huh?
Not talking to you.
Okay.
Talking about you.
Whatever.
There's a difference. Ew. Yeah, you have to realize I've never been in this dungeon before. I just started playing. Again. Well, that kind of sucked.
Did you die?
No, I got feared.
Whatever.
So, how did I just pull aggro by healing? Oh, we're going towards the boss. I think honestly what they should make Paladins mastery is their auto attacks, damage they deal, heals for a small percentage of, I don't know, 20%, we'll say, give or take. Yeah, I don't really care if I get hit by that shit. And then the cooldown just increases the damage dealt. So, keeping the healing the same. How do you clean XP?
Negative Ghost Rider.
It's over there.
Where?
On the table somewhere.
No. Most definitely not. You can sniffle all you want.
No, I can't breathe is the problem.
Yeah, there's no Kleenexes over here.
It is over there. You're just not looking.
Yeah,
I'm in the middle of not letting my group die. Again, people, don't get married. At least don't get married to console peasants. PC Master Race for the win. Getting stared at right now. Who are you texting?
Hey.
What? You're texting the Xbox? heals. That heal for a lot. Darn it, didn't get any gear. Oh well. Looks like one more group to go. Of course he went out of range. Sure. Why would you leave right before the last boss? That just seems kind of dumb. If I get the thing on my head run. Got it. Yeah, because I actually do not have TBM installed, so... I actually don't have a Windows license yet. Working on that. Going to assume that's me. Maybe? I don't know. Okay. We'll go with that. Got a new belt. Sweet. Excuse me. I couldn't do anything. Lame. And I have a growling dog behind me. But I'm coming up on an hour and a half. Only you're left, Crackling. You're a great help, by the way. I'm going to go ahead and cut it for now. But stay tuned to the videos that are coming up. Feel free to discuss anything down below. Keep it, more PG than apparently I can keep my own chat. But, as always, this is Steve from PC Budget Solutions. And I will see you all later on down the road. And cool, that you're fixing the mic issue, by the way.